Have you ever caught yourself staring at someone talking but realize you had no idea what that person just said? Or you're in a conversation with someone and you watch them physically snap back into it because they were also in the same situation that they weren't listening. Active listening is a crucial part in communicating properly. Truly listening to someone is more than just hearing what they're saying. It's a way to make someone feel seen, build relationships, and build trust. Listening is a critical skill because it nurtures relationships, gives a deeper understanding, and also gives us the tools to have a meaningful response. Listening is not a common form of communication that's discussed regularly, but it's one that we can aim to be more intentional with to benefit our relationships. In this speech, we'll be discussing the different barriers to effective listening, different types of listening, and how we can improve our listening skills. Now we will discuss how different surroundings affect your listening skills. Besides the obvious barriers such as background noise or your dog barking in the back, did you know that something as little as how the furniture is placed in a room can affect your listening skills? Environmental and physical barriers are one of the many factors in how attentive you are when you're speaking. As cited in Communications in the Real World, there is also barriers such as selective hearing. Selective hearing is where you are only pulling out the information in the conversation that you feel like can benefit you. Selective hearing is very selfish, and you are not fully comprehending the conversation at hand. Where barriers can limit how we effectively listen, the different types of listening we engage in also shape how we respond to someone. When we go into a conversation listening with the intent of finding something to disagree with, that's called aggressive listening. Tyler Mann and I were having a conversation a couple weeks ago, and he stated that aggressive listening is probably more likely to happen in a conversation that you're already pretty worked up about. Pseudo-listening is acting like you're listening when in reality you aren't. Pseudo-listening can have a couple benefits when you are just maxed out mentally and you feel like you can't take on other people's problems in a sense. It gives you a way to make someone feel seen and heard. But if you do it too much, it is a super selfish way to communicate, and you cannot be picking up the conversation properly. Another way of listening is narcissistic listening. It's when the speaker continually brings the conversation back to them and make it all about themselves. The Deceptive Power of Listening, How Narcissists Create False Bonds by Dr. Hansen shows how narcissistic listeners can be more than just speaking about themselves, but they can also always figure out a way to manipulate the conversation back to themselves. These are all great examples of being a poor listener. Now let's touch on how we can be a better listener. Active listening is a crucial part of becoming a better listener. There are many different techniques to becoming a better listener. Mirroring is a really good example. It shows that you are carefully listening, but you can also relate to what they're saying. I know that mirroring is a very big technique of my listening, and I think that mirroring is super good, but there is a fine line because if you do it too much, it could be narcissistic listening, and it can almost circle back to that where it seems like you're just talking about yourself, but in reality, mirroring is you trying to relate to that person and make them feel seen and say like, hey, I went through this situation too. Another way to be a better listener is being more empathetic. It's a great trait, and we want others to feel heard and seen when we're speaking. Another big part is withholding judgment. You never want to be in a conversation with someone and it's obvious that they are sitting there judging you while you're trying to just have a conversation. So now we have gone over 3 ways we can be better listeners. I've gone over different barriers when it comes to listening, different types of listening, and how we can aim to be more of an attentive audience. Listening is a form of communication that I said is not often talked about, but it is so incredibly important. You risk so much when you're a poor listener, and becoming an active and more aware listener can do nothing but benefit your relationships. You want to really feel like you know what just happened in that conversation and that you benefited it. So that's all I have on listening, so I hope you feel like you learned something new today. Thank you.